Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jenn Billat. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jenn Billat. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jenn Billat, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is the pros and cons of renting to Section 8 tenants. The Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program helps low-income families afford housing by subsidizing a portion of their rent. As a landlord, participating in this program offers unique benefits and challenges. Here's a balanced look at the pros and cons to help you decide if Section 8 tenants are right for your rental property. Pro number 1, reliable rent payments. The government pays a significant portion of the rent directly, ensuring consistent income. Pro number 2, broad tenant pool. Section 8 provides access to a large pool of potential tenants, reducing vacancy rates. Pro number 3, reduced marketing costs. Once approved as a Section 8 landlord, your property may be listed on government platforms, attracting renters without extra marketing expenses. And pro number 4, incentives and protections. Some states offer additional incentives or protections for landlords participating in the program. Now for the cons. Con number 1, property inspections. Properties must meet specific housing quality standards, requiring regular inspections and possible upgrades. Con number 2, administrative requirements. Enrolling in the program and managing paperwork can be time-consuming. Con number 3, rent caps. Section 8 sets rent limits based on local market rates, which may be lower than what you could charge private tenants. And con number 4, potential tenant challenges. While Section 8 covers rent, landlords are responsible for tenant screening. Some participants may require additional management or support. So, renting to Section 8 tenants can provide steady income, reduced vacancies, and expand your tenant pool, but it also involves more regulations, inspections, and potential challenges. Make sure you weigh the pros and cons to see if it aligns with your business strategy and property goals. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us Jenn Billat. Jenn is a badass boss lady who's revolutionizing the way people buy and invest in real estate. Jenn is passionate about helping others build massive wealth and having a ton of fun while doing it. She works with Subto students, real estate agents, wholesalers, investors, and first-time buyers, teaching them all the creative financing options available. With a mission to educate and empower others to think outside the box, Jenn is here to show you how to make real estate work for you. It's my pleasure to have a fellow badass, so welcome to the show, Jenn Billat.
What's up?
Hello.
Hello. I feel like we should have like a ding, ding, ding in round 1. Here we go.
I love it. I have been looking forward to this interview. We found each other on Facebook and I'm like, who is this? Look at all this.
The same thing.
And I'm like, she's a badass. I'm a badass. Did we just become best friends? So
we did. I think so.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you here. And let's start with a little background on you. How did you get involved with real estate?
Well, I am so happy to be here. Before we jump into me, Jen, you are the bestower of badassery. So high five to you, and your community should understand how absolutely amazing it is to have this platform, because that's all we need, right? We need to be able to come together, learn from each other, and good, bad, and in between. That's what we need is each other. So I'm just so grateful to be here. And so again, thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for being a badass. I mean,
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
Let's do this.
Yeah, let's go. So, I got started like 20 years ago just buying property because I wanted to. I love property. I literally still to this day get giddy when I buy a house. I'm like, it's that just little spark inside of me that goes, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So started that and then made my way through getting into lending. I've been in mortgage for almost 15 years. So I know money very, very well. And through the 15 years, I was like, you know what? There needs to be better ways to help people buy houses. And for myself, when I want to buy investment properties, why is it so hard? And that took me through the journey of just finding out. I was a nerd. I'm like, how else can I do this? Who else can help me? And it went from like, oh, this is the only way, mortgage. Oh my gosh, you can broker. Oh my gosh, there's hard money. Holy schmoly, there's private money lenders. Like it literally was this aha moment every few years. And then I sat back. I'm like, okay, it's taking me 15 years to learn this. And I looked around and I asked people, do you know about this? Like, oh, you can't do that. What about creative? You ever heard of this? Oh, that you can't do that. And so I just said like, you know what? I'm loud. I want to share. My whole goal is to partner, and I like doing stuff with people. Everyone wants to do all this alone and make all their money. And I've never liked that. So that was my journey. That's how I got started, honestly, was being in the most conforming, regulated environment you could ever be in, and learning how to do it absolutely to the book, because that was the only way, and then progressively going backwards and being like, oh, no, you could totally do it this way. And that's how I got started. So I'm a nerd. Let's be real.
I mean, we are clearly going to be best friends, because I was just nerding out listening to you talk about this, because I grew up with a mother who was a realtor, and it is, you get a mortgage, you do this, you need 20% down, blah, blah, blah. And it's the law. And so when I had mentioned to her that I was getting into flipping houses and doing this, and she's like, oh, what do you mean you're not getting a mortgage? So I totally get it. And I'm sure all of our listeners out there are nodding their heads saying the same thing. And people who don't know about creative financing think it's illegal. They think it's not legit. Yes. And so my first real question here is, how is doing real estate creatively helping people?
And I love this question because it is passionate. This is why I started creative. Even when I was in mortgage, I found myself wanting to help people so badly. Like when they got declined because they didn't have enough assets or whatever the scenario was, I was always being creative. I'm like, okay, we can figure this out. Family, friends, like, how do we do it? And so even in the simplest terms of creative, just looking at another angle of how do I get what I want? Do I want to buy my first house? Do I need my investment property? So for creative, it is so important to understand it's helping buyers and sellers. Like, I personally am a Subto student and I do Subto, but I Subto my portfolio. I buy properties. I'm a lender. My rates are amazingly low. I Subto them to people, and it's to people that literally are self-employed that are, they're doing all the things, but they just don't fit in the normal conforming lending box. So I'm giving them the ability to own a house, which is helping me. I get to have an asset paid off. They get an ability to now live in a house and a community that's fantastic. And we all get to win here. And this is my best part about creative is we are genuinely friends. I have a relationship with this person. Not every Subto works like I do, but I do. I know this person. If they need something from me or I need something from them, we are tied with real estate, and it's okay. We have great conversations at the beginning when we're doing it, and going through what Subto is, how that you are now going to be responsible for the legal term and agreement that I got into. I did it. Now it's yours. We do this every single day in every single contract, you guys. So I'm very, very good at it. And I like to show everyone, like, I'm as a seller is being helped. My buyer is absolutely getting an opportunity that me personally as lender told them, no, you don't have an option, right? Because a bank said so, because a bank won't make money. And the reality is the banks are always making money. We went through 7, 8, 9, 10, right? who got hurt there? Nobody except for the consumer. So I really just look at that. And so the biggest thing is sellers are winning because if they have an opportunity to give that and they want to move on, like I needed to move out of that state. I was able to, it helps me as a seller. And if you're a seller that's in trouble and you can't sell with a realtor because you're not going to make any money, you don't have any money, subject to your mortgage and your terms is going to help you. It will save your credit. It will save your ability to do whatever you need to do next because life happens.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing people don't understand and they want to think negatively of creative is it's helping everybody. It's how do we think creatively and come together to one solution? That's what it is. And so that's how it helps buyers and sellers and mostly our world, because now you're talking to each other and you're actually having a conversation in reality, which doesn't happen in normal real estate transactions. And was that too lengthy?
No, I mean, and there's so many issues right now where people can't buy houses or they can't sell houses and they're going to lose money. So there's such a need for these creative financing techniques. So before we get into, I'm hoping you give us a couple examples.
Okay,
but you have said everyone can start in real estate with just $5,000. So my first question is, what is that $5,000 for? And second, what if you don't have $5,000 to get started?
Okay, I specifically put that out there because everyone thinks if you need to get into real estate that you have to buy or flip or renovate or own a rental, which in reality, you guys, if you're in it like us, it's a nightmare. Like I'm running flips right now. I have renovations. I have tenants. It's a nightmare. But you know what? I think that everyone, if you had $5,000 to lend, you are now investing in real estate. You could lend your money to me and I will pay you a percentage and points sometimes just to borrow your money for a certain amount of term. So now you're investing with me. You get to be on that property deed with me. And people forget that. They think the only way to do it is to go down that long, drawn out, stressful path of truly doing that. And it's not the only way. And in fact, you make way more money the other way, just using your money. So that's why I put 5,000 and you don't even need any money. Like you could have zero down. That's the whole point of creative.
Right.
You can partner with me. I get creative deals all day long and I get businesses too. You guys, there's such an ability to be like, hey, I'm helping somebody. Because no one's told you this, I'm sure badassery, Jenn has said this, but there's always the 3Ds, the triple D. You always have death, you always have disease, and you always have divorce. No one ever believes that those are real. They are, let me tell you. So when you have the ability to say, hey, I'll help you with your house. Can I have it? I get them for no money down, zero, like nothing. But then a lot of the times they need help. And then that's another reason if you have money to lend, again, you don't have to do all the work. You can just give money. So I do it on purpose because 5,000 is a good round number. You don't have to have any money. We'll get into it a little bit way down. My son had $900 and I borrowed his money. I drew up a contract. He has a contract with me to double his money. And he did. I borrowed it to teach him. And there's a great video of like, hey, what did you do for this money? He's like, nothing. And it was so great to have a 10-year-old be like, because we forget that we're taught work, work, work. You have to put blood, sweat, tears to make all this money. But what if you don't? What if you had a beautiful W-2 and you hung out and you want to just do that, but I'm making money over here on my money? Key. So that's what I mean by 5,000. I want everyone to think investing in real estate can be just with money. You don't have to go out there and find the house and go that route. You can literally just use your money and it doesn't need to be $100,000.
And so well said. And I love that you shared that story because that was a question down my list here about your 10-year-old because, let's spend a hot minute on this because I'm a former school teacher. I taught middle school for 16 years, which of course gave me an allergy to have children of my own. So
I can't imagine why they're so lovely in middle school. I have a 13-year-old. Oh my gosh.
So I know firsthand that teaching finance and investment strategies in schools is definitely lacking. So how did you coach he was 10 years old when you did this. Yeah. How did you coach him and turn him into an investor?
So it really came down to, I have two boys. One's 13 that is expensive and just thinks money grows on trees. And then I have a 10-year-old that's just not. It's amazing. He was just super curious. He is a worker. He helps me on my flips but he doesn't like it. my kids have been with me through this journey, so they're not a super fan of flipping because they've had to do a lot of the work with us. But he's like, but I like it. So, and he was the one's like, how else do I do this? And I literally thought about it. I'm like, you know, your mom invests in real estate. I buy a lot of things with other people. So I had a conversation with him and we were just sitting there and I had this whole drawn out thing and I wrote it down for him so he could know it because we were practicing his math and I was trying to teach him a math equation because he's super smart with math. And then it came down to, I'm like, okay. And then I just turned it into an investment. You're going to learn this. And I just, like a teacher would, like, okay, let me teach you, but real life instead of, let's say, these pie charts that no one eats pie anymore. Sorry, just don't like food. And then like, let's take this. I'm going to take your money. I'm taking $900. And over the course of 12 months, I'm going to pay you $100 a month just to borrow that. And in 12 months, how much money are you going to make? He's like, okay, well, I'll make $1,200, Mom. Okay. And how much did you give me to start? He's like, 900. How much money do you have? Okay. What did you do? And it was literally just such simple math. And I think, again, as investors and adults, we way overthink it. And so to be able to sit down and tell a 10-year-old and have them like, oh, okay, get it. It's the same with adults. We just make it so complicated sometimes because we're taught that way. Like, has anyone got a mortgage lately? It's a nightmare. I do it every day. They're like, oh my gosh, this, and the numbers change. And whoever created the loan estimate and closing disclosure that's got all kinds of numbers that don't ever add up. So long story short, I went to my son and I did that and he loves it. And then he, in his own little world, talked to his friends. And then I got to go into his class in 4th graders and 5th graders. And I've always been an advocate for this anyways, because I actually started in college. I go to seniors at University of Nevada, Reno, any TMCC, any colleges I can get to talk to them. If your career doesn't work out, let's talk about something else, you know, and this is how you can make your money work when you're there. And so that's how it started. And now I actually go into all the elementary schools that I can and put a real life value on it so they can really correlate it to what they're literally seeing mom and dad do every day.
I love all of that, Jen. And thank you for taking the time to go into schools and do this. Because I said it's lacking. It's not part of, core curriculum out there. And yet it is so important. And, seniors in college, how many people go to college and have a major and then actually work in that major? Now, I did for 16 years, but now I'm out of that. I have nothing to do with education anymore. Well, put my teacher hat back on with coaching and stuff, but totally different, a lot more passionate. And so, I love that you did that. So thank you for contributing back to our communities. So I now want to break it down for people because you mentioned subject to. And so can you give us examples of some recent creative deals that you've done? And maybe let's first at least focus on what subject to is. Give us a nice, gritty definition of what it is and how it works.
Okay. Yes. Because this is an amazing way to purchase real estate. And that is honestly, you guys, it's been around forever. It is just coming back into our world because we have an opportunity to use another type of lending. And it gets attributed to a creative way because you already have when you go and get a mortgage, when you go to a lender company, you come and you say, hey, lender, I need to borrow $500,000 to purchase this home. This lender gives you a contract. That contract is your deed of trust and your note. This is as that lender, and every lender is different. That lender says, these are my rules and stipulations of how you are going to pay me back because you didn't have $500,000. You had a small amount. And then now this lender is loaning you this money and these are your terms to repay them. And the asset is attached as a home. Okay. So you've got two major things here. You've got an asset, which is your house, and you've got a loan that you have to pay back. So now that we know those two components, is all subject to is third party. The other person comes in, and this is Jane Doe. It says, hey, I'm third person. I want your house and your terms. I don't want to go get new ones. I want what you have. I want that low interest rate. I want this neighborhood. I want this. And they come to me and I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So this is now you are taking over my original agreement with my original lender. And I'm now going to let you live in the asset as long as you take care of it. And that is subject to a third party. Jane Doe says, I'm going to now take this over per this agreement. And this is where it gets funky, is because people say, oh, it's illegal. No, right. The person is signing the deed of trust. They sign all the documentation. You go through title. you do everything you normally would in a normal loan. You were just taking over instead of creating a brand new term. You're just taking it over.
But
it's the same
let's stop.
thing.
Let's stop for 1 second though, because like I have an attorney that I go to. I'm in North Carolina, and she is like the master at putting these deals together, and she's our subject to expert. And so I do think it's important that you are working with someone who understands how subject to works. Do you agree with that, or?
Oh, and yes, that's what I was going to get to is I know what I'm doing. I have a team that does it. I personally put myself through it. So I literally, cause I subject to my house, I know every single document. I know what makes it work. I know what makes it fail. So yes, you guys, if you were out there and someone's telling you about it and they just know about it, please make sure they're actually accredited and ask the question just like you would anywhere else in the world. Have you done it before? What was your success rate? How did it go for you? Ask all the questions. If they haven't done it, don't use them, because now we go from helping people, buyers and sellers, to hurting buyers and sellers.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
And I'm in the community, and I literally was just at an owners club community. Like we're 400 elite people that eat, breathe, and sleep creative lending, subject to all real estate. We love it. And I was literally talking to a person there. She's like, yeah, I had someone do it, but I'm not on the deed. And I was like, what? Wait, what a minute. Wait. And she's like, oh no, he said I couldn't do that because it's a type of loan. I'm like, no. Here, let me help you. So this is a great example for your audience, and everyone I talk to is really make sure they know what you're doing. And really, I teach this in a lot of my things that for free on Anywhere. You have to have the contracts. You have to understand that you have to have it, and it has to be a subject to contract that is going in there. So you have to do that. There's no questions asked. And I come across people that don't know what they're doing all day. And that's honestly how I find a lot more deals too, is because they're so messed up that I have to come in and help everyone redo everything so it's actually legit. And I end up taking it over to make sure that you guys, the subject to, should have your payments paid through a note servicing company. And this is the reason we do that, because then it creates a rental. Guess what? You can go buy whatever you want. Cause I get that question all the time. Hey, Jen, but how is this other person ever going to buy anything because it's still in their name? I'm like, it's just like a rental. Their payments being made through a servicing company. Now, anytime they want to go buy something, they're like, oh no, that's a rental. I have all of it covered. I can buy whatever I want. See how cool that is? How often do we hear anyone say that?
So
very rarely.
Break that down a little more. So, I have worked with students who went through the Subto education, and I feel like they get in this little box where they can only do creative financing. And I feel like they miss out on a couple deals here and there because they can't think outside the box because that's what they have been trained to do. But what if that seller, so you're saying, you got to break this down for me because that went over my head a little bit. You're saying that the homeowner, now you are taking over their loan, and but they want to buy another house. So most people use the proceeds of the sale of a house to put towards their next house. So you mentioned something about a rental in there. So break that down a little bit for me because that went over my head.
All right. So this is how, when you buy a house, and then now I own it. Now I'm subject to it. So I'm giving my house to another person. They're now going to take over that mortgage. And now I'm going to go on and do another thing. I want to buy another property. Okay. The note is still in my name. So if anything, when you go to a lender, they're going to run a fraud guard. That fraud guard is going to say, hey, you still own this. So now I have to qualify standard. So getting out of creative, I just want to go to the real world, show it to my mortgage company and be like, hey, I want to buy another mortgage. You're going to be like, well, you have this mortgage still in your name. And you're going to say, I do, but here, my payments are made through a servicing company. Now, this is set up when I do my sub-twos. You have no option. When I buy or sell a sub-two, this is how the documentation works. That payment that you pay to your mortgagor directly, it now goes to a servicing company. That servicing company now pays it. So me as a person exiting the property, I can consider that a rental. It really isn't a rental. That's just to use down the road for the lender that's asking the question.
Gotcha.
Because now the payment is being, okay, you're not responsible. It's not coming out of your bank. Nope. And furthermore, you have a third neutral party paying that payment for you. So, and as the person that took over my property, I want to make sure that payment's made. I mean, I love people. I'm really trustworthy, but let's be real. I still want to make sure you pay my payment. So they had to pay a servicing company. When I set up that Subto, they not only do the first month, they do 3 months deposit into that servicing company. So if anything gets funky, I know my mortgage, because it's still my credit, will not be affected. And I'm going to get alerted, hey, this isn't. And I personally have an acceleration clause in every single Subto I do. If someone misses one payment, it accelerates back in my name. I own that house. Every dollar they put into it, whatever they've done to the property for improvement, that's now mine. Nice. And if you don't have those, you should. That's the way that they're drawn up. But so now I'm helping buyer and seller. Me, I can go buy whatever I want because this is the payment is being shown made. And the new person feels safe because they're going to a servicing company. They don't have to worry about it. You don't have to bother them. They know where it goes. And to them, that's their mortgage company, but it's not. It's just servicing company. So does that make sense? Is that a little bit clearer about what I'm saying?
My question really, because, back in my school teacher days, definitely paycheck to paycheck. And I bought my first townhome. Gosh, it was like $46,000. Can you believe it? And then I sold it 4 years later for 100 something. And then I bought my next one, but I needed the proceeds of my first townhouse for that down payment for my second house. So that's the part where I was asking, how does the person now go and buy something else if they don't have a down payment to purchase their next property?
Why wouldn't they go? Why would you use all that money? So you need all this money to buy another money. But in my mind, why would you use all that money? Why wouldn't you invest some of it? Why wouldn't you just
20% say, hey, is what I'm saying. Like I wouldn't even have 20% to put down on a new property. Yes.
But even 20%, you guys, money makes money. So is what I'm saying is if you do it this way with the servicing company, you can literally leave and go get another mortgage because this mortgage now on paper, is it really a rental? No, it's subject to. But I can now show documentation to my next lender. And I personally did this, you guys. You guys can see how I did it as the person that owned the property. I Subto it and I went and bought another house. I said, here it is. I literally showed the lender, nope, this is a rental. Here, the payments are paid. And there wasn't 12 months payments made. I think there was 7. But the lender just wanted to make sure that I wasn't responsible for that payment. So I went to another lender. I put 5% down, just enough to get to get the loan I wanted. And I kept all the other money. And I actually didn't take a lot of proceeds from this house. I did a seller finance on top of the Subto because I didn't want all that gain. I wanted to section it out. I don't want 150 grand. I want $30,000 every year for the next few years. So I don't get hit with taxes. I want to keep all my money. So what you did is say, hey, I want to take I want to take my money out of the equity and I want to move it over here. And is what I'm saying is creatively, that's a lot of burden for you. I would say I'll seller carry this. I want you to pay me in draws and I'm just going to go to another lender and I'm going to do this. And I'm going to get a whole nother loan because I can. And that is the mistake with it. Subto is they say you can't do that. If you Subto, I hear it all the time. Oh, well, the VA borrower can't borrow. That's wrong. They can. Oh, well, the FHA, that's wrong. They can. Because you can have 2 FHA loans, you guys. It's just one per state. Oh my gosh. People are so silly. And it's actually 100 miles. So if you're in a state like me, that's big, you can have 2 FHA loans. Okay. And number 3, it all depends on how, again, the paperwork is done. So if you've done this with somebody that doesn't know the lending side, how do you go forward? You're probably gonna have to redo a little bit of it.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for breaking that down. I appreciate that. So let's get into some examples, some real world examples. Just like you taught your 10-year-old to invest his $900, tell us a recent deal.
Okay. So I am a big fix and flipper as well. And I was actually presented with an offer by someone in my community. And so they had got it into contract and they quickly realized where they purchased it, which happened to be in Lake Tahoe, was a beast. And what that means is, oh my gosh, I don't know how to value this. Am I getting a good deal? Am I not getting a good deal? And so my community came to me because that's where I buy, one of my very specific areas. And so I looked at it. So what ended up happening with this deal is a community member brought it to me. I got to look at it. I renegotiated it and I purchased a property for probably 50% of the net value of what it was worth. All right. And then the example I'm giving, this one in particular was for a fix and flip. I got a person to give it to me. I end up buying this. And this wasn't too much of a creative deal. This was a cash deal to begin with. I got in contract in cash. I had to come up with this amount of money. And in this deal, I had to pay a wholesaler. I had to pay an assignment fee. Like, this is something I want to highlight to people. When you're getting these deals, there's money going out, and it still was way cheaper than I would have ever had to pay in a normal transaction. Is what ended up happening is the seller couldn't get their payoff from their mortgage lender. So then I'm like, okay, don't worry. They had to leave. They had a family member that was passed away. I will take over your mortgage subject to. I will pay it for you until we get it. I'll negotiate your contract. So I'm now, we're taking a little bit more from you, but I'll pay this. So a standard deal, you guys, came down to cash, quick fix and flip, turned into a subject to. I had to cover her payments for her. She signed everything off because she had to go. So this was another very creative deal that didn't even start creative. So we started in one realm, and then we ended up changing just to help somebody. They had to go. They could not stay anymore. I needed the property ASAP. So I was able to redraw a contract. So that's kind of a reverse engineer. And why I like that example is everyone thinks you have to start one way. And even me, I always usually start creatively. That's usually where I start. This one just happened to be another way, but you always have to keep your mind open instead of dragging this on and having somebody that really is in pain. This seller was in pain. They had to go. Their family member was dying. I was able to take it over. We ended up only subtoing it for a month because I had the money. So we subtoed and then we paid it off. But that was one really good example. Another really recent.
I just want to add in here that this is perfect example of real estate creatively is helping people, because I come across situations like this all the time, lists when we are looking, buying lists or sending out postcards or cold calling, you're looking for pre-foreclosures, things like that. And so this is a perfect example. She wasn't necessarily in pre-foreclosure, but she needed to move quickly to be near a loved one. So I love that example. Give us one more, because this is just, it makes it easier to wrap your head around it, because it's so many people hear the concept, but like you said, you got to keep reinforcing it. And so give us one more.
Okay. Another one I'm going to give is this happens every day. I always start creatively. So I reached out to this person. I noticed that they had an amazing property that I wanted and it wasn't selling. So I just said, hey, would you be open to being creative? And he's like, oh, my partner, I don't know. So we ended up negotiating. This partner of his was his soon-to-be ex-wife.
I love that you're doing air quotes to partner.
Like, oh, because everyone has and you'll learn this. Like in real estate, when you're talking to people, you really got to figure out what the terminology is. And me, a partner's like, cool, we're making money today. Like this is my business partner. So I had to really kind of understand. Because he's like, yeah. And then like, no, we can't do this. And I'm like, okay. Then I had to dig in and say, what's going on? And end up being a divorce. So they had this problem. They couldn't sell. Two different ideas. One person wanted something. Another person just wanted all the money. They're like, I'm out. I don't want anything to do with you. Peace. So then I had to come in and kind of negotiate both sides and say, okay, I want to take over subject to. I'll come up with her half. You let me do your sub two, because now I'm meeting both parties in the way. So we end up drawing this whole sub two thing out. I'm coming up with money. This person's not. But then this is the best part of the story. We're literally at the closing and she's looking at all the numbers. And I'm a very transparent. Like every number is visually, we usually have actually a recorded Zoom too, going through every single number. We're literally at the signing. And she's like, he's going to make so much more money. I go, yes, he is, because he is not taking all the money. We're literally all closing. They're on Zooms. I'm on Zoom. And so on. Then I'm like, okay, well, and she's like, well, I want what he has. And I'm like, okay, well, if you want what he has and you don't get any money right now, it's 100% financing or zero down, and then I'll split it up. And so she's like, okay. So I went in again, totally creative deal. Figure out, I got one guy's all sub two. He didn't want the money because he understood the ramifications of how much taxes. Because I'm getting I think it was a $1.3 million property. Ooh. It was a big, I do higher end properties. And I know it sounds crazy, guys, but that's just the area I'm in. It's really a piece of crap shack. So don't be impressed by that. But it was so awesome to be on the Zoom and have someone that really I was able to coach and understand, and have this other person who was so against it because everyone in her sphere said no. By the end, I put zero down. Both of them are seller financing. Both of them are make money. Both of them are going to make money over the next 5 years, way more money. She would have netted, I think, $150,000 cash. Instead, over time, she'll keep every 150, because if she would have taken that money, her tax bracket was in the 30s. She would have lost almost a quarter of her money. And now she gets to keep all of it, plus make more, because I'm paying her interest on her money. And so now the money I would have spent there, you guys, guess what I did? I bought another Subto. I went out and said, hey, I want to use, because money makes money. So that is a really good example, again, of Subto. I went in it with Subto. I went in it creatively and got to work with both people. And literally the day we were closing, we had to renegotiate everything for someone that really finally understood how I really was trying to help, because I think they didn't understand. They thought I was just taking advantage of the situation. Right. So those are amazing. And that was a divorce. These are people that I promise you guys, these guys did not like each other. Like, I was the middle neutral party. And by the end, I think we were all smiling and everyone's happy. They're going their separate ways, but I think they both felt good. And that's why I do creative. This is truly what I love to do. I helped two people in some way understand that they can actually communicate and that they can both make money. Now, whether or not that continues, whatever, but I felt really good about it at that moment.
Well, Jenn, I can tell how passionate you are with this. And I know you coach people. Tell me about the community that you have where you educate people, and you're getting ready to start a podcast too, getting released January 1st. But let's talk about your community.
So my community is, I'm really big in my Subto community. I love it. If anyone's interested in it, please reach out to me. I very much value that community. I've created a whole other sub of that, of just badass. I say badass ladies, but we have a lot of gentlemen. So badass investors in there. And what that community is really teaching people, like I said at the beginning, you don't have to be crazy and buy all the property and do all the flips and have all the headaches. You can just use money. And so that community really educates on how using finances and how to use your 401ks and your IRAs and make them so you don't get penalized to pull it out to invest in a property, and you can put it right back. A lot of people don't know the money piece, and that's always a problem. Everyone needs money to buy real estate. So why don't you be the money? I always tell people, like, why would you want to go through my headaches, watch a lot of my videos, and spend $1,000 in court when you can just be the money? So that is what my sub community is, just badass real estate investors. It's called Badass Boss Creative, and is all we do is focus on creative deals, focus on the money, and focus on how you can partner with me. I'll show you how to do it, and I want to see you grow. I want to see you do what we do, because you guys, there's an abundance out there. There's so much to be had. That I don't want anyone to have a misconception. If you're with somebody that says, no, you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, there's not enough, that's coming from their mindset. Because I promise you, if you talk to me, there's lots and lots of stuff out there. So take your money, be my 10-year-old, take your $900, invest it. It will turn into 2,000 and then 4,000. And before you know it, you're happy doing what you want and your money's making money.
I love it. And what's the best way for them to find you?
You know what? My website, badassbossjen.com. We've got a standard mortgage in there. We've got a little sheet you can fill out and tell me what you need. My team is there. They're waiting to help people. We always get back to you. And even if it's like, I don't know anything, I just want to get started, I'm here. I will literally set you up. And the cool thing is, I have amazing community. I can go right back to Jenn and say, you need to be part of Jenn's community. Get into RAIN. This is the piece that you're missing. And this is the best part about the community is you have badassery. I mean, look at it. The bestower badassery is right here. And most people, you're already in this community, know that. And this is where we'll redirect and say, hey, we're here to help. And this is what we do. So that's why I always tell people, find me and I'll give you to the best of the best and figure out where you need to go.
Well, I love all of that. And I just want to clarify, it's Badass Boss Jenn with 2 N's. I'm Jenn with 1 N. The Southern people here love to add all these extra N's on my name, but yes, it is. I'm Jenn with 1 N. That's how I introduce myself. So the website is badassbossjen with 2 N's.com, and definitely reach out. There's so many great things on there. It's definitely worth a look-see. So I'm going to move to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Jenn a badass, and clearly you are. So I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I love Jenn, another Jenn, Sincero with one N, because clearly you badasses are way more better. But Jenn Sincero's You Are a Badass is the best book, hands down. And it really is just about focusing on you. We're all a badass and individual on our own. And we all need to hear that. We don't need to be anyone else. That book touched my soul more than anything else. Like
I read it like once a year. I love it.
Me too. I have it right over there. It's highlighted. I have probably 20 books. If anyone hasn't had it, call me. I will send you a hard copy. That's how much I love it. I literally have invested so much in it. It's just amazing. We all need to be the badass versions of ourselves. So please don't take your badassery away from this universe. Please share it. We need it.
Absolutely. And I do her daily calendar too on my desk. And I have the badass button.
Oh yeah.
I'm a little obsessed. So both, I agree 1,000%. She is amazing. All right. The first A in badass is for advice. You've given us amazing advice, but I'm curious, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I received by a coach of mine a long time ago said, "Hey, Jenn, do you want to be right or do you want to be rich?" And I really think this comes into what makes me so good with creative, because creative is it's not what I feel is right. It's who's making, what would make someone's life richer. It really has nothing to do with money. It has to be like, what would be the right thing to do? And so with me taking away from what I sometimes believe the only way is and opening my mind, then it allows me and everyone around me to become rich and understand, wow, there's so many options. So right or rich was the best thing I ever heard in my life, because it really narrowed in, like, you know what? No one's 100% right. I should just stop, listen, and that will make me rich, because I'll learn or I'll help somebody. So
well said. And I'm sure you, coming from the mortgage business, how scary it was to step out of that, because it's so, anyway, I bet, and which is probably what makes you so fantastic at what you do. So, all right, the D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
My drive, this is such a good question. I always love thinking about this one, because I'm just crazy. I love this shit. But my drive is, I've always said the mindset, I can do anything. I can do it. Like I've never thought I couldn't. And so the drive of truly making that reality, I can do anything. And this is why I want to partner with people. And that's my success, is if I know I can do it and I believe in it and I've done it, you can do it too. So that's my drive, is helping other people, partnering with other people that don't have that mindset that I can do everything. It doesn't matter what it is. Then come with me. Let me help you along the way, and let me drive and use my energy and my crazy badassery with you and Jenn, everybody, and have you partner with me. And so really just comes down to, just wanting to partner with people and help people do what I do.
And I'm sure you have a lot of people working with you, because people like to work with people they know, like, and trust. And even before we started this podcast, I knew we were going to be best friends. So
yay, I agree.
All right.
I saw you. I'm like, yes.
All right. The second A in badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
So I, as well, I love affirmations and I love visuals. Like I stated, I think we talked about offline, but I had a vision of a lake on my vision board for 20 years, and I wanted to live that dream life. So I did that. If you look, one of my houses is on a lake. So my aspiration, I have what we call a Mount Everest. Mount Everest is a 5-year goal of what I want to do, and sharing expertise is being on a big stage. I really want to get what I believe in so wholeheartedly, the creative and the financing, that everybody can do it. So that's my goal. I'm going to be on big stages every single month and creating a massive community of badass people, whether you're, I hope 10-year-olds, but let's be realistic, just out of college and all the way through 60 years old. If you want to do it, that is my aspiration. So I've got a big 5-year goal. So please join me. I've got some really good masterminds coming up. I want to be able to get that goal by sharing my knowledge and having people partner with me to let everybody know what they can do.
Well, in the few minutes that we have started our friendship here, I seriously doubt it's going to take 5 years, sister. I can see you doing that in a year or two. So that is going to be easily achieved, I can tell. All right. The first S in badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Oh my gosh, you guys, calendar. You have to have a calendar.
It's so simple.
And I'm literally I'm a visual person. Like I have a calendar here and here. Like I love to see it every day. And I literally had to have my coach, tell me, no, Jen, you have to put it on your phone and have your phone alert me, because I'm not a phone person. So I'm like, I just like people too much. But that was a key to set. I was missing things. And so you guys, calendar is absolutely number one thing. You have to have it, and don't not use it. Follow it. Because that's another thing. Like, I got a badass calendar. Do you follow it? Because that's what I'm like, kinda. So follow your calendar. It's literally key to success. Put everything you do on there, 100%.
I just ordered another wall calendar because I'm almost done with 2024 and I'm already booking into 2025. So I have my calendar. I need that visual. I totally get it. But I do need the dings on my phone and like, I got this going on. So excellent. All right. To wrap this up, the final S in badass is for success. What does success mean to you?
Success means to me is living my dream life. Everyone's dream life is different, and I want everyone to live their dream life. So success for me is, what is my dream? My dream is being able to live with my family, being able to live on a water ski lake, being able to speak on stage. Like that's my dream life. And so you guys think about what your dream life is. And my dream life literally has very little to do with money. It really has to do with going to 7 properties that I got on contract and like getting giddy at the door because I get to go inside. That's my dream life. I'm a nerd. So that is my success, is being able to truly live that dream every single day. And I do think your life is short. So every day I always tell people I do cool shit every day. Like I did a meetup last night and, had a few people. And the best part of that meetup was afterwards, I had an older lady sit down because it was grandson's birthday, and I let him come into my table that was reserved, and I had an hour conversation. That was badass. I mean, I met an amazing human being. That's living my dream life. And that success to me is having the ability to share and love people.
Well, I am so thrilled that we have crossed paths because you are absolutely fabulous. And I appreciate you being on the show today. And just a reminder for the listeners, if you would like to reach out to Jenn with 2 N's, you can go to badassbossjen.com, 2 N's, and then watch for her podcast getting released in January of 2025. And I've watched some of your YouTube channel things, and you're just so good at what you do. And I love your energy. And so, Jenn, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. And to you especially, you are the bestower of badassery. And I'm so grateful for you and all of the education you share. I hope everyone listening knows how amazing this is, because hands down, super grateful for you.
Well, thank you so much. And that is all. Thank you for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jenn Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.